I have clients that their growth strategy is to do M&A. So they are a small company, but then over the past 5 years, they acquired more than 20 smaller companies. And then the employee size just grew to like 7,000 employees. But the hilarious thing is that the mother company, most of our employees don't know what are the smaller company acquired to do. And then how are you gonna do like the culture and the knowledge integration if nobody knows like what are the people are doing? Right?
That spark of innovation, it's just waiting for the perfect combination of tools and talent to bring it to life. Welcome to Pitch, Build, Scale. I'm your host, Chris Fanchi, a recovering startup founder, veteran SaaS marketer, turned dev tech enthusiast and growth specialist. Each episode, we connect with the builders, the visionaries, and the problem solvers who are redefining what's possible with today's technology and pioneering the websites, apps, and software products of tomorrow. These are the conversations that transform how we build, how we sell, and how we scale technology businesses in a world where the tech evolves by the minute. Ready to stay ahead of the curve? This is Pitch, Build, Scale. Hello and welcome to today's episode. We have a very exciting guest. For those of you just joining the podcast, we are Big North Marketing and specialize in helping dev shops and SaaS companies scale their revenue. So if you want to learn how to take your SaaS or dev business to the next level, make sure to stick around. And if you're interested in a free growth consultation, just drop us the word growth in the DMs. We're really excited to have today's guest, Yumi Kimura, CEO and co-founder of Lead. She's a serial entrepreneur with a global footprint from launching Meitu in Japan to building a AI-driven company that's transforming how Fortune 500 companies manage knowledge, collaboration, and change at scale. Yumi, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for having me here.
Excited to have you. So I'd like to start with your background and your journey. What first drew you into the world of tech and startups?
Yeah, so it's not very typical because I did not start as an engineer. So I first got into tech because a few mentors told me it would be really hard for me to get into finance because I'm a woman and being Asian is just difficult. But it turns out that tech is just as tough as but I saw a much more clear path to build something that could scale and actually solve real human problems. That's why I was like, okay, even this is tougher, or maybe I don't have a comparison, but yeah, even it's tough. You made me to think it's worth to stay in.
So did you always want to be an entrepreneur and run your own business, or was that something that you came onto later in life?
I originally started my first business when I was 18. Yeah, but I don't know. Like I think sometimes it's life. It just opens a door for you, but close another door for you, and then it turns out where I should be.
So can you start by telling me us about a little bit more about Maitu and your journey in Japan?
Yeah, so Meitu is basically use cloud computing and AI to recognize people's face. And then it has 13 different apps, including Meitu Beauty Plus, Makeup Plus, maybe a bunch of different apps. And also, I think in the US, one of the most famous ones is probably Airbrush. Yeah. So, we have more than 1 billion users globally back in 2016. And then we also had a 4.5 billion IPO in Hong Kong. That was the second largest tech IPO after Tencent. Tencent is the largest one back in Hong Kong. Yeah, that's like a long time ago.
So what was that process like and building that company?
I mean, it's tough because, in China, Meitu is really popular. Like, if you talk to anybody who grew up in mainland or speak Chinese, they know the company. It's kind of like people here know Google. So yeah, and then it initially started by a few cameramen and investor that just thought every woman deserve to have beautiful photos and videos. And then it was just so hard to use Adobe. So they thought maybe we can build a phone. And then later on, Mr. Tsai, he's a chairman, and he thought the future is actually on people's mobile and software instead of just a phone. So they spin out the business to do something like a software. And I think it was like 9 years ago, we definitely had the best facial recognition that can recognize people's eyelashes and apply exact makeup on it, and much more like clear than the secure camera you go through airport. So you know like how fascinating the tech was. And then Meitu wanted to do like global expansion in order to have IPO, but the Chinese company always have the stigma to go globally. And then I think Meitu was the first few made that step. And then that's why it was pretty much the first B2C company ever successfully launched in Japan.
Okay, very interesting. So what was your role in that?
I was a founder for Meitu Japan. I helped Meitu to build Japan business from scratch.
Wow, that's impressive.
Thank you.
And how was that process getting that app to be successful in Japan?
Well, it's a interesting process. It's all about branding, how you position yourself, and also building local partnership. Because a lot of people, when they think about the B2C app, they think, oh, you just need to launch to the consumer. Yes, the consumer behavior and also the culture matters. But another thing is that as a brand, how are you gonna monetize? Because if you only do monetization from ads, like the income's not gonna drive to a scale, and also you are not really able to build a brand in a foreign market that's like really reputable. So in order to do that, you need to have strategy and also business-wise recognition with larger brands. So we decided to do a B2B by helping people buy makeup, so like a virtual try on. So nowadays, if you take a look at, if you go to a brand like L'Oreal or maybe some companies you want to try on their makeup, the underlying technology is something we built back then. I'm not saying that they are working with us or anything. I'm just saying like that's the typical technology you see from those days.
Wow, very cool.
Thank you.
So let's transition now to lead and what you're building there. What was that transition? What made you decide to leave Meitu and start lead? And what was the idea behind lead?
Yeah, so I think lead was come out of a frustration because I keep seeing really smart people being underutilized, especially if they're junior or maybe companies doing a change, like during onboarding, M&A, or maybe a hyper transitions. The knowledge part is not really following. Especially now you see like junior people really lack of mentor, business really stuck in silos. People, they have loneliness or either overproductive, but then they get burned out, or it's just very difficult for company to have a healthy culture. But then it's actually not really a culture issue. What I see is more like business problem, right? Because for example, the tech companies, they always waste time and talent because they have so many silos and the internal competition. Then one team, if they win, that means another team, like they die, right? And then that means a lot of people either gonna absorb to new teams or they lose their jobs. And then there's a lot of wasted knowledge, and knowledge not transferred. Knowledge here basically means that the things that inside of the employee's brain is not really something you write down as the information in your ticketing system. So that's why I thought, yeah, like how do we actually build a infrastructure, a system that automatically help companies to connect the knowledge on the people side? And so, yeah, so that's pretty much how I come up with building this people side knowledge management system and using AI.
So how do you go about solving that problem? That's definitely an interesting challenge.
Definitely. I think for knowledge management, a lot of people, they have misunderstanding thinking, okay, if I write things down into a piece of paper or maybe Notion or maybe like Google Doc, That just gonna be great. But then the thing is that what about if you or someone leave the job and then the document gets outdated? And also in a large company, like, do you know who knows what, and how in a team, like how many percentage of people have what type of influence, right? So to solve this issue, first thing we need to think about is the human and the culture in elements that enable knowledge to be created, shared, and also used effectively within our organization. And then to understand that, we need to understand how the knowledge lives in individual and social network within the company. So that's something in the fundamental. And there's 5 pillars about it. The first is the knowledge sharing culture. Second is leadership and incentives. Third one is the community networks. The networks are not like a computer networks, but like how socially people organize their social capital within the company, right? And then onboarding and learning, like you onboard new hires and then keep your employee learning about new things about other people, what are the people are doing constantly. And then you need to also do like behavioral change and adoption to make your company become a knowledge-driven company. So solving the 5 things together is how you actually gonna build a product that actually sustain the knowledge within the organization, and that's how we build our software around this.
Wow, very fascinating.
Thank you.
What did it take? Went into building a solution that could handle all of those different pillars at once?
Yeah, so we have a software that introduce people across team for virtual coffee chat or in-person meeting, and we get people's feedback one-on-one. We also have new hire onboarding and also post survey, as well as taking certain metadata to analyzing how knowledge flow are within the companies. So in a technical term, it's called like we analyzing both active ONA as well as a passive ONA, but on a minimum metadata level that does not really like invade privacy and security related issues.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. So where are you guys at as a company in terms of your team size, your traction, and how are you growing right now?
Yeah, so today lead our company is called lead is led by a very lean senior team, and we are post revenue with accompanying, like clients from Fortune 500, and we also have installations from more than 3,000 organizations. We have 2 products. One is called LeadBot. It's about that you can download within Slack and Microsoft Teams. It does virtual coffee chat as well as new hire onboarding. Also send out survey to understand team dynamics as well as organization network analysis survey. We also have another software called Sunrise. It automatically pull people's online status and anonymize that as a team level. And we also connect with calendar, can take some metadata from meeting sites and then how many people are attending. And then based on the company's requirement, we can actually map out how social network based on information flow, knowledge flow within your company. And then we use a lot of ONA and also behavior science to identify where are the connectivity and operational inefficiencies for the company, and then help company to drive change through that way.
Okay. So how do you get into these companies? Who is your ideal client? Who's your target that you're talking to get something like this integrated?
Yeah, it's a very interesting problem for us to have is that so far everybody coming to us by themselves, because I truly believe product-led market, like product-led growth, like
Hmm.
PLG, is that if you are solving a company's pain point, that your client should like flood to to you themselves. So today we are like probably 99% all inbound. There's like one outbound I know was because I talked to a person in a conference, and then after 1 year, her company become our client. That's just the only outbound I ever know, but I don't even know if it should call that outbound. Yeah, and then most of our clients right now have more than 500 employees, but majority of them is anywhere from 1,000 employee to like 10,000 employees, including some like big like brands, like major top 3 consulting firms in the US and those type of companies.
Did your team have a lot of connections that you were able to leverage early on to get some of your early clients?
No. So actually one thing about product market fit is interesting is that if you are able to sell your product to completely stranger, that means like you're really solving a problem. And then luckily, but also unluckily, it's like nobody ever introduced me to anybody.
Gosh. So what is the process of getting on board with your product? Is it a pretty hands-on integration process because you're working with a lot of internal data and information and having to get that all aligned before clients can take advantage of it?
So it depends. We have a different level of service. The baseline, the standard plan is something you can just do self-service. You just need to add a bot to your Slack or Microsoft Teams environment, click a button, and then you start to work. That's how we do our, virtual coffee chat and the cross-team collaboration software. But then if the company, they want to create some more creative, like, since, for example, Microsoft and LinkedIn, they used us after their M&A, right? And then what they want is to get two people, one person from LinkedIn, one person from Microsoft, to meet and talk. And there's hundreds of people inside of the organization, so we can create like a few hundreds of meetings at once for what people to do one-on-one and exchange their ideas for a couple of years. And then this type of things, we can like talk to them and figure out their agenda and then guide them through this culture integration process. And then if company want to work with us, we currently have a program that we work with the company to get the data. But at the same time, if the company would like to work with us closely, we also work with a lot of Ivy Leagues to do data research. So then we can sign a contract that basically to allow them to no, like let them allow us to use their anonymized data to do such research, and with a lot of academic people that have like quite a lot of credential in this area. And then we share back the result with them, and then have another professors from the same school that help with change management, that using those results to guide them through as a consultant. So it's like a pretty much tailored consulting, but us as a software company, we only handle the data collection and the analytics side, and then we work with the client and then the university professors to get those insightful data and then help them with change management.
Oh, that's really interesting, working the universities into the process and of onboarding basically your new clients and helping them unearth things in their own data.
Definitely, because our whole product is based on research. So a lot of different features, and then the solutions are all backed by many years of scientific research on human behavior in organization settings.
How long have you been going as a business? How long has Lead been around?
Yeah, it's a good question. So Lead as a company, we actually been around for 7 years. However, the knowledge management software only came out 3 months ago. But we actually have like millions of data points from all the actually 6 years. So how let me actually like dial back a little bit is that I originally found Lead to become a women empowerment social network to provide mentorship outside of company for women, as well as maybe they can do that internally. But then I found out that a lot of people, they like the product, but they don't have the money or budget to pay. So we have to pivot. And then back then I lost my previous co-founder due to some founder disagreement.
Mm.
And then for 3 years, I was doing solo research in interviewing 3,000 people in the US in different job levels and then their company issues, trying to figure out the best product. We actually been through a lot of different versions. And then finally in 2020, I found my current co-founder and we launched our beta into Slack. And then in 2021, we finally was able to launch the initial version you call like MVP. So from that sense, our product was only out for like 4 years. And then as our flagship get more and more traction, we start to realize that the type of data we're getting can analyzing how employees' behavior shift from being siloed versus like have a fixed mindset, and then was able to do more and more knowledge sharing within a company. And there's a lot of things going into there, including like psychological safety and then the whole environment for the company and culture. We actually saw clients used to be in a really not very good place all the way to the best place to work after working with us for 2 years. So you will see there's a lot of effort going into there, not just all because of our product, but definitely our product is one of the main drivers that drive their culture change. So I'm really proud about it.
Yeah, I bet you get some great case studies out of those clients, huh?
Yeah, that's like one of my best case studies. And we actually visualize how people's behavior change on a data map, and then you can show like a video. And a lot of people, when they see a company from super silo to like very integrated in a way that drive their operational efficiencies, they're like fascinated.
Wow, that's incredible.
Thank you.
How has the explosion of what is popularly known as AI, so the LLMs and things like that over the last couple of years impacted your business? Has that opened some doors for you guys?
I think our software, we don't do LLM because when you talk about AI, it's not just about like large language model. There's a lot of like patterns you can find in data analytics also using AI, and then that's more related to us. However, we do have generative AI integration in the software. I think right now, a lot of our clients are not using those features, especially for larger companies, because a lot of education, I think that the industry leaders need is that what are the data going to the models, right? And a lot of companies, if they are large enough, if especially our clients, a lot of them are public companies, it's really about their data security, and then what can be taken to do what. So I think there's a lot of things that they need to do, like to create their own internal data policy and the privacy and stuff like that, because this is something new for a company. And once they have that guidance, then you will guide them to work with vendors like us better, while we are telling them there's certain features might take certain data, certain features you use it, but it doesn't really take your company data. But until I think they have the internal clarity around it, it's just very hard for um, you know, software involving a lot of LLM to get into a company. And even without getting into this large language model, still when people hear about AI, they they get panicked, even in just about data visualization to analyze patterns, right? Right. So there's a lot of customer education I think the whole industry need to do.
Yeah, yeah. Has the popularization of AI helped open doors for you in terms of the expectations and companies kind of starting to look for solutions that they might not have considered in the past?
Well, so our product, we use AI as a tool, but we're not AI company, right? So the
Right.
thing is that a lot of a startup call themselves they are AI startup, but the thing is that are you just a software that use AI, or you actually building AI itself? That's a very different thing here. So we are not that type of company. So our client can use our product with or without AI component. The AI is just basically, for example, open doors to give our engineers more time, because we can code with some like for example Copilot, this type of things. But it's not necessarily saying they helped us change our product, because we don't really feed our customer data or anything into those things. It's just the code itself, right? And then it's not like every code is just some limited usage. And another thing is that I think it helps us to do like outreach, because we actually work with one of our investors to do outreach using AI bot, and then so far it generated quite qualified leads. I mean, if we just by ourselves, maybe we have to hire SDR and train them, but then they might not as good as this AI software that can respond constantly, right? And based on the certain time and stuff. So definitely, I think in that case, in this era, like even a few people can operate millions level of ARR if you use AI right. Yeah. So I think in that case, it's not like the AI can solving all the problems for you, but it definitely can act as a very useful tool for a lot of startups.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you seeing specific industries such as consulting, finance, tech that are leaning harder into what you're building?
Um, yeah, I think Microsoft is doing this type of research for many years. Google is doing this type of research. They're all leaders in the areas. But we also have certain type of data like they don't have. And I think tech company big. So the thing is that it's not really about the industry. It's more about the tech readiness. So,
Right.
for example, the challenge here is a lot of companies don't have the internal setup to become truly digital transformation ready.
Hmm.
And then that's the biggest challenge because, for example, like McKinsey and the Boston Consulting, they all said that 70% of those change management, especially involving digital transformation, fail. It's more about their internal culture, people, leadership. And then it's not because of a tool, right? It's like an internal misalignment. So if a company have the internal alignment right, then they could be a qualified client for us. And it doesn't really matter which industry they are in. It's more about this readiness
Hmm.
that we're seeing.
Very interesting. What are you seeing as being the biggest misconception that companies have about knowledge management?
I think a lot of companies, they think knowledge is just about storing documents, as I said initially. But the real knowledge man lives in people. It's what your employees knows. It's what buried on an intranet. Knowledge management is not about archiving. It's about activating. It's to make sure the right people talk to each other at the right time. And also there's like opportunity cost if people don't know what other people knows. For example, I have clients that their growth strategy is to do M&A. So they're a small company, but then over the past 5 years, they acquired more than 20 smaller companies. And then the employee size just grew to like 7,000 employees. But the hilarious thing is that the mother company, most of our employees don't know what are the smaller company acquired to do. And then how are you gonna do like the culture and the knowledge integration if nobody knows like what are the people are doing, right? Then you are not really a big company. You are just a company with a bunch of small companies below you and you have no synergies so far so forth.
Yeah, absolutely. So back to lead and where do you see things going? What are your plans? What does a breakout year look like for the company?
Yeah, so I think breakout year means that we did become the go-to infrastructure layer for enterprise knowledge management flow. It's kind of like Workday for HR and the Salesforce for sales. That's gonna be a breakout.
Okay, very very exciting. Is your focus then deepening enterprise penetration, expanding your product capabilities, or something else?
So right now our focus are like on two things. One is deepening enterprise adoption and also expanding the product to surface, but not just about who knows what, but the who needs what to make invisible demand for our expertise become more visible and also in real time. Scale, we are staying in with like senior members on our team, and we are very selectively exploring capital to grow where it counts, especially around integrations, enterprise sales, and the category education. So yeah, I think in the US and the parts of Europe, those are the areas that could be really good like the geography for us to stay focused.
And so you're not necessarily looking to bring on additional capital right now. You're not fundraising.
We are, and as I said, we are like selectively exploring those capitals, and then no matter is that to work with larger companies, corporate venture or like a large venture capital. But the thing is that um right now we know that a lot of companies they want to train their own AI to manage the knowledge. However, the thing is that you are not able to train AI without knowledge management because knowledge is not just in documents. A lot of people a lot of AI engineer actually once they get hired for those projects, you should quit within 1 year. This is like a trend because people are just saying if you are just training your AI to answer customer with your outdated data, what's the point?
Yeah, and I'm sure in those larger organizations, there's a lot of outdated documentation floating around.
Definitely, definitely. And a lot of them they have like the system building over years. And then the engineers actually, like how if you don't have internal documents and then the chats within company usually disappear within a year or two. Emails might be keeping longer, but for most engineering culture, that's not really the case for them to share things. And then Jira tickets out of dated. People left their company and the code base are really messed up by like versions and versions. And eventually those system like there's like a lot of issues like I see here that need a lot of deeper cleaning.
So I assume, I'm guessing your product does a lot in terms of weighting more recent activities and documents and things like that compared to older stuff, but you still try to take it all in and piece it together, right?
We are not managing information. We are only managing knowledge. So we are only analyzing your organization, who knows what, through organization network analysis and behavior science. So we're trying to find you the expert, the subject matter expertise, and people's influence on innovation. And collaboration, new ideas, and also like the bottleneck, like why is project not moving forward? This type of things were not, and also maybe like subject matter expertise, but we're not really managing the document itself.
So you guys don't even mess with the documents then.
Yes, I think documents like that's like a Notion's job. We're not Notion. We're not Jira. We're not like a service now. Like that's the areas already people build, and then they could do better job. But the thing is that we are actually tackle the people side of knowledge when nobody's actually doing it.
Well, very interesting. Great. So from a business standpoint, what are the challenges that you're facing as you're looking to grow?
I think the biggest bottleneck is market education, right? Because people side knowledge management has been actually studied for decades, but the most executives still like see it as a new thing. It's mainly because there's no dedicated role in many companies. Have you ever heard of like a job called a chief knowledge manager, chief knowledge officer, or maybe like a knowledge coordinator? I mean, some companies like mission critical companies, they have the type of job titles. For example, NASA, they have chief knowledge officer, right? Because if you don't have those roles, then the rocket is gonna explode. But I think for a lot of companies, we see that HR is doing it, leadership team, you don't even know who are in the leadership team is doing it. COO office doing it. Sometimes the CEO office is doing it. But it just there's no clear like accountability in this type of company. So in order for them to really solve this, I think it's not just about software, it's like an internal alignment as well.
So we're getting to the end here. I know you do a lot of your own research and academic work. How do you balance that while also building a company that's in this growth mode?
I think to do startup and the research, it definitely sounds really crazy. I mean, it's not easy at all. But the good thing is that my academic work in Colombia and Wharton, it really helped us to stay credible as well as, like we can have the first-hand field experience and then have those research and provide context to the research. So It's aligned, even it's super intense.
So putting on your crystal ball, looking into the future, if you had a magic wand to fix or change one thing heading into the future to make your business as successful as it could possibly be, what is that one thing that you would change?
I think this answer I have here, it's been in my head for a while now. If I say that, probably a lot of people will think, okay, that's crazy, or maybe, oh my God, you really can say that. So, like, if I even had half of the visibility or resource of someone like Elon Musk or maybe Sam Altman, then the market education problem can be solved by tomorrow. I think the thing is that our product is not really struggle because it doesn't work. It's because people don't really realize how badly they need it. I mean, some people realize that's good for them, but it's not really a technology gap. It's a attention gap, right? The thing is that the tension, people's attention is actually the most expensive resource in today's market. And once people see it, they cannot unsee it. And then knowledge management will stop being a niche, then it will become the infrastructure. Because once people know that if any AI they want to build in their company needs a knowledge, they probably gonna stop every single thing they're doing and then just fix the knowledge by itself.
Yeah. And I'm sure so many companies that you talk to, when you start talking about knowledge management, they do go straight to, oh, it's just document management. It's not really that knowledge side in the depth that you guys do it. Right.
Yeah, like I mean the thing is that let's say if you lay off few thousand people, like what they know are not logged in your system, like how much loss you're gonna have here, right? You probably heard that some company they fire thousand people, but then after that they have to hire back a few people and try to figure out like, oh, without those people, like actually the project doesn't move anymore. That's what we call knowledge. Like you cannot have those knowledge gaps.
Yeah. And as the era of AI progresses and companies look to automate some of the jobs, they need the knowledge to train those new tools on for sure.
Definitely. You need to find people that know things can update your document to know what are most relevant. And then also if you want to build a new product, you want to know who actually deal with this type of customer or maybe issues in the past. And so you can do the research and build the product, right? So yeah, everything's about knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. Yumi, this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the show. For folks listening who want to learn more about you or Lead, where's the best place they can find you?
I think they can find me on LinkedIn and then also they can find me on Twitter. We also have our website. It's www.led.app.
Fantastic. And to everyone listening, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. And as always, keep pitching, keep building, and keep scaling.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Pitch, Build, Scale. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast provider so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you next time.